Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jenna.
And as usual, exciting episode. We're excited to have all of you on Facebook Live or our GoToWebinar to join us today for our topic, which is going to be on oversized printing. And so that'll be the main part of our episode. We want to talk about not only how to do it, we talk a lot on the morning show about oversized jersey printing, which is a portion of the oversized printing, but we want to talk about how to make big profits for your apparel business by printing things that may be outside of the box that are a little bit more oversized. And so we're going to share that with you today. We're going to show you how to print them, talk about transfer technologies that work, and all of that. And we also have a new segment of our 7 markets that you should be selling apparel to series, and we'll share that with you as well.
Before we get started, we're going to start out with the look of the week. So if we can bring that up. I just wanted to tell you why I chose this look. It shows a lot of variety of different looks you can achieve with glitter flakes. So you see a lot of apparel decorators decorating for children apparel or fan wear and spirit wear such as cheer and dance. And this just kind of shows a different niche that you can reach with glitter flakes. So they're tying in one of the popular trends, which is camo, and how that fits in well with deer season now. So that's from Nancy.
Yeah, so not only a seasonal design, but Sanmar had shared some information on their blog a while back that really showed the opportunity with camo. So kind of adding that feminine touch to what used to be a masculine design. People always think of camo as kind of a manly hunting type thing, and they don't really think about moving it outside of that into more feminine designs. The glitter was a great way to add some feminine elements to the camo. Sometimes pink camo is another great way to do that, but there's a lot of opportunity there. Great. So in addition to the look of the week, we want to share with you guys, before we dive into our main topic, one of the 7 markets that we're going to be sharing with you that you should be selling apparel to. So last week we kicked it off with municipalities. This week we're going to focus on cheer and dance. It's just another niche that we think is very profitable, and we're going to share different ways that you can sell apparel to that niche now.
Hi, I'm Josh Ellsworth with Stahls TV, and welcome to this installment of 7 markets you should be selling to. One market that you can reach in your local area or even at a national level are dance schools and studios. There are thousands of independently owned studios with many distinct apparel sales opportunities. So I think this is one niche that is profitable, but you have to have the right plan. Before you can start selling, we need to understand who we're selling to. And I always like to start there. And particularly with dance studios, they're independently owned, and often you'll find they're owned by a former dancer. Many of these studios share the same challenges in that the dance school owner doesn't have enough time to basically worry about apparel and changing vendors. Next, they typically are always concerned about money and staying cash flow positive so they can keep the dance school open and the studio doors open. But perhaps most importantly is developing a reputation, because this leads to longevity of their dance school being open, and really with the right reputation and a successful brand, it leads to enrollment. So when you start to think about those 3 goals, you start to dive into a dance school owner's job and what they need to deal with. So number 1 is they need to collect registration money and sign dancers up. Of course, they need to do things like choreograph dancers, hire and manage staff, provide dance instruction, maintain attendance, enroll and take students to competitions. And then they also need to do things like coordinate photography. And this is another instance where they work with an outside vendor to come in and shoot photography in a money-making opportunity. They need to plan and execute a dance recital. Typically, a studio has a recital at the end of the year. Through all of this, they need to make sure they stay cash flow positive, as we mentioned earlier. And then a mention is they have to deal with parents. When you start to look at dance schools and the notorious dance moms, you know that that's a job of a dance school owner, is to manage parents and their opinions and what's happening at the dance school. So basically the sum of all this is that they're very busy. They're always thinking about what they need to be accomplishing, and last on the list is probably buying apparel. So you need to really form a plan that you can break through and sell to them, and consider a strategy that's bigger than taking your normal catalog or your everyday t-shirt that you sell to a local business to a dance school. It's just not going to resonate with them. You need to think about the apparel and match it to their brand goals in a way that they can make profit to stay cash flow positive with little work on their part to free up their time, which of course is going to require more work by you. So let's start by talking about matching apparel to their brand goals. So as you might imagine, dance school owners and dance schools in general are very on point with what's trending and popular. So I'd recommend sourcing the latest styles from suppliers such as Boxercraft, Cavio, Bella Canvas, Sanmar, to name a few, and make sure you coordinate logos and apparel styles in their colors. So a lace back tank or a pom-pom jersey, a nice super soft tri-blend t-shirt is going to be better for your sales call than something like a unisex tee, just going in and going through the motions. And of course you want to make sure that you can have garments that you can present to dancers of all ages and sizes, because this runs from little girls up to juniors and in some cases ladies apparel. Next, you want to make sure when you think about what designs you're going to present, you take a look at what's happening at retail. Typically the high school market and even the elementary market is all a trickle-down effect from the collegiate market and major brands. So look for inspiration from things like the Victoria's Secret pink collection would be a great place to start. The dance school's name is always popular, and then of course dance school sayings like "my dance season never ends" or "don't sweat, sparkle," or just cute things that you can consider taking in that can be a printed sample that will translate across many different sales calls. Now when you start to talk about colors, you may think pink is it, but it's really not. Pink tends to be popular with the younger girls, but when you go up into the juniors market, neutrals, black, charcoal, white, they tend to be the more popular colors that are selling. Now, when you start talking about how the studio owner can make money if they like your look, you need to really model out a profit potential for them so they can really see the advantage of doing business with you. This means extending one price on apparel to the studio and allowing the studio to then mark it up to parents and students. Once you are actually able to land the account, the idea that they'll be behind the sale and behind the items that you'll be selling and promoting them by making profit, this will encourage them to get it sort of front of mind and share it on the Facebook page through flyers in the studio and whatnot. Another just add-on tip is to allow the adding of names on the back of a t-shirt or a decorated design. These are profitable placements that are very popular in dance studios. Now, of course, if you're going to make profit and also allow the dance owner and studio to make profit, you need to make sure the item has a higher perceived value. So we already talked about that a little bit with as far as the blank apparel, but make sure that you're working with glitter finishes or higher end finishes that are going to deliver a higher perceived value and sort of matching designs with what's trending. Now next, once you have something that matches to their look, you need to think about the hands-off approach that you can deliver. So doing something like establishing an online store if that's easier so they don't have to manage orders. Doing something like printing the flyers so they can hang in the studio, creating the order form so that the sale is easily managed by the office manager in the dance studio. So basically a hands-on approach and more work on your part is going to make a big difference. Also little simple things like bagging the orders individually for dancers once the sale concludes, that's going to make a big difference to having a hands-off, easy approach. So with these things in mind, start to think about all the sales opportunities. You have things like a registration tee that happens at the beginning of the dance year. You often can launch a sale of several items for leading up to holidays and Christmas time, so dance parents can buy something for the dancer. It's a great time to incentivize people to purchase and make a successful sale. You also have opportunities like the actual tracksuits that most dance studio dancers wear to competition and even beyond competition. So tracksuits are a great profit opportunity for you to launch as a singular sales item throughout the year. And then of course everything culminates at the dance recital at the end of the year. So being a heat printer, you have the opportunity to do event printing with your heat press and designs and perhaps a vinyl cutter to do some things on demand. So being able to offer that extra benefit of coming on site and making the recital a better and a greater experience to help increase their reputation and brand is going to go a long way to being able to grow your business and land more sales with dance studios. So once again, as you start to think about selling to this market of dance school studios and owners, it should be very easy to find customers. Just go out on Google or whatever search engine or the local yellow pages and think about if you were going to enroll at a dance school and search for them in that way. Build up your prospect list and then create relevant samples with the right marketing materials to go out and sell to them. Making sure that you don't take the business in a one-size-fits-all approach, but you curb your samples to have some relevance in a way that shows their colors on fashionable styles that they're going to be more apt to respond to and ultimately give you a shot as a supplier. Good luck making dance schools and studios a market that you can reach.
We appreciate Josh sharing some tips there for ways that you can sell apparel to the cheer and dance market. It's definitely a niche that can be very lucrative if you choose the right blanks and choose the right way to package and sell your products for the dance schools. And so definitely a great opportunity there that I think a lot of decorators can take those principles and move forward with them in a lot of different markets. So we appreciate that. I guess it's time to dive into the main part of the episode today and talk about some big prints, some oversized printing, and different locations and different big profit opportunities that are available. So let's start with the profit opportunities.
Well, with football season being in session, I think a huge opportunity that a lot of apparel decorators miss out on during this season is tents. A lot of people are tailgating, and before the games they have all their food set up underneath their tent, and you're not seeing a lot of them logoed, even with the school name and things like that. So that's a huge profit opportunity during this season, not just with football games. There are a lot of craft fairs, festivals going on that these tents could be used for also.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with those is there's a big risk involved if you ruin one, or they're worried about positioning and getting the graphic on center. So we'll share some tips a little bit later in this morning's episode on how to print those successfully as far as getting things centered and straight. But definitely a lot of opportunities, like you said, school logos, company logos, even for a lot of companies that maybe offer tailgates to their employees at events. So I noticed it a lot at professional and collegiate sports and a lot of areas. And even to be able to add that branding to the corporate logo and make people walking by think, wow, what a great company to work for. They have this activity for their employees. And just another great way to add some branding there. So definitely a good opportunity with tents. Table covers are another one that I think people don't really think of. We get so stuck in the apparel realm, and we do it here at the studio as well because we think t-shirts, sweatshirts, you can really get consumed with that, but there's a lot of big margin to be made with these items. So if you sell to businesses or anybody who's going to be out at an event or a trade show or anything where they're displaying things on a table, being able to put their logo, their brand on the front in either single color or full color graphics is a huge opportunity. I've even seen an opportunity for schools that sell tickets. Right now we're diving into basketball season. So if you're already printing some spirit wear, being able to print some additional table covers for them to maybe put out at the ticket booth so people just add some extra branding, adds a little bit more premium look for the school there. So those are some more opportunities.
Yeah, and with the holidays coming up, we see a lot of opportunities there. I know you mentioned table covers, but people are printing the table runners and also tree skirts. So I don't know if you guys had checked out our Christmas episode, but we ended up printing a tree skirt in there, and that involves some oversized printing. So those are just some holiday opportunities people can take advantage of also.
Yeah, and in that class we also printed a blanket, so that's another holiday personalization, even school-related item that offers a lot of opportunity for printing big prints. And then we dive into apparel more. So we know we've showed the oversized jersey a ton of times on the morning show here. This is that large print on the back of a shirt. And not only are we seeing large prints like this on the back of the shirt, which are still very popular, but we're starting to see them across the front of the items. We're seeing them all over the front of the shirt. So oversized printing and big, bold prints on apparel are still very popular.
Right, and they even go as far as unique placements also. So typically you would see prints on on a full front or a full back like you do on the oversized jersey, but we also get into wraparound prints that are very popular also.
Yeah, and those also tend to be some oversized prints. And some of these oversized prints, well, we're going to show you later today how to do one in multiple steps. Some of these can even be done in a simple one-step application. So even though a graphic may normally only be 12 inches wide, now we're going 15 inches wide, which is oversized compared to what you may be used to. And so it still can be done in one print on a 16 by 20 heat press.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about how to do this, I guess. And, you know, when it comes to doing this type of thing, I think the obvious challenge is, you know, the size of the graphic is larger. So being able to cut or print that large of a graphic, being able to weed that large of a graphic, and then also being able to choose a material that's compatible for these types of applications, and positioning and centering is, of course, a big challenge as well.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about transfer technologies. I think there's a lot of different transfer technologies that work for these types of oversized prints.
Yeah, and I think CAD cut is a huge portion of that. A lot of people are curious about what to use whenever they're getting into large printing, and it would be easy to have a 24-inch vinyl cutter just to run that through, and the rolls are made anywhere from 20 to 30 inches, so that makes it easy for those large prints also.
Yeah, I think because a lot of the times these graphics, although they may be 30 inches wide, we're seeing them with the width around 30 inches wide. The height of them is usually only like 12 inches, or it's somewhere where you could still use a 15 or 20 inch roll to easily create that graphics. You're just going to want to rotate them. So CAD cut transfers will certainly give you great single color logos, and then print and cut systems or CAD color materials really allow you to get large full color graphics. So if you're doing full color logos on tents or table covers, then that's a great alternative as well. And like you had mentioned, the size of the rolls is definitely a benefit if you're able to gang up multiple ones or print them in a way that allows you to maximize the material.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up the digital also, because if this is something that somebody wants to do as like their niche, something that they do very well, then you do want to consider getting one of those large format printers. It just makes the process go more smoothly and quicker.
Right.
So having that option and being able to do full color even is a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, definitely, especially for the cost of the print and cut machine and the materials. And so we think about materials and we think about compatibility. We have to talk a little bit about that. So most, obviously the apparel-based items are cotton or polyester, so they tend to be easy to print because anything will work with them. Even a lot of pop-up tents or table covers tend to be polyester-based, either 100% polyester or some kind of polyester facing material. So again, it's easy to choose a material that's compatible for these. I like to recommend for a pop-up tent or anything that's going to be outdoors, CAD cut thermofilm for polyester items, because it helps to, it's just abrasion resistant, so it really helps to take a beating as they're popping up these tents, putting them back down, and it's going to withstand some of the weathering as well that happens in these types of conditions. Likewise, if you have a nylon material, keep in mind, check the fabric composition, check the tag of the items that either your customers are bringing in or that you're sourcing. If it's nylon, you do need a special adhesive for those products. So there's a Thermo Grip product, which is basically the sister of thermofilm, and it has a stronger adhesive for those types of applications.
Right, perfect for nylon.
Yeah, so a couple great opportunities there for sure. And then I guess the biggest challenge we want to talk about is positioning and printing, and how do I center this correctly so that it looks center on the item when they pop up that tent or when they place out that table cover, and how do I do that successfully? And I think it's best to probably go over to the heat press to do that.
Definitely, yep.
So we'll head over there and take a look at how to do this actually hands-on over at your machine, at your heat press. And so we're just using the standard 16 by 20 Fusion heat press that we use here on the morning show. This is going to be the most standard size that most decorators have, and so we'll find that to do a large oversized print, we're going to need to do multiple applications with this step. I actually have a blanket here that I'm going to use for my demo. So the idea with a blanket like this would be very similar to what you would see with a table cover or even a tent. If you're going to be doing a pop-up tent, then I recommend undoing all the fastenings, getting it to be a nice flat surface like this so you have something to start with. And then a lot of decorators, what they'll do is they'll lay it out on a table or lay it out on a floor. I like to fold it in half and find my center mark of the center of the print location. So my print location is going to go across the bottom here. So I'm just folding that in half, getting my center crease mark. Of course, you could press this to get that center crease mark in, but if you have a polyester item, it may be difficult to see that crease mark. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick a little piece of tape at my crease mark. That way I know that's where the center of my design is, and when I go to line up the center of my graphic, it needs to be in that position. Once I have that done, I'm just going to lay the blanket on the top of my 16 by 20 platen and get ready to start lining everything up. Also, because I'm using the fusion and the swing method, I am just kind of pushing all the excess underneath here. That's what's ideal if you have the fusion heat press, using it in the swing method to do this rather than the draw where it could shift your design or shift your garment. A clamp would be just as easy as well. So once I have this all done, if it's something I'm worried about being laundered, I will need to go ahead and preheat this. So I'm just going to preheat my full print location very quickly. If it's something you're not worried about being laundered, maybe a table cover for an event or something as simple as a tent, then I wouldn't worry about going through the preheating steps, but I imagine a blanket's going to be laundered quite a few times, so we'll go ahead and do that. Again, lining the center back up with the center of my platen, and then taking my large oversized graphic. This graphic was cut on the Graphtec vinyl cutter in CAD cut fashion film. It runs about 28 inches wide, so what I'm going to do here is take this and I'm folding it non-sticky side to non-sticky side. And I just put a saying on here that's going to be popular for maybe a local school. You could do a sports team or personalize this for a couple, however you want to do it. And then I'm going to line that center crease up with the center of my blanket. And so either where I put that tape mark, or if I had a crease mark down the item from it being folded, then I can line that center of that carrier up with that mark.
So what's great about this is that even though you're working with a platen that is a 16 by 20, just by maneuvering it a couple times, you can press a really large print fairly easily.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy. And since fashion film has that sticky backing, it's kind of holding in place as I go to do multiple steps. I am going to, if the material doesn't have a sticky backing, I just want to show kind of how a heat seal tape would work, so I could then put the tape over the transfer and hold it in place so it stays when I slide it. But this backing is incredibly sticky, so I have no concerns of whether or not it's going to stick whenever I load it on there. I'm going to press fashion film for its full application, which is actually 15 seconds, 320 degrees. And then since it's a hot or cold peel, I can easily just slide it over, press the other side, and then peel it all together. So again, just sliding all that over. Want to make sure I get everything on the platen in 2 steps. 28 inches makes a good width for that. Even 30 inches would allow me to get 2 nice applications. If I'm going larger, let's say 45 inches or something, I would have to do this in 3 steps. Another tip is if you have a smaller heat press and you're unable to kind of get it maybe to a flat surface, or you don't have heat seal tape, is you could tack it in the center and then press the other 2 sides, so that tack would hold the transfer in place. I'm going to go ahead and start peeling this back. You'll notice that blue heat seal tape doesn't leave any mark on my blanket there. That's the benefit of using it over just a regular tape, as it's designed for being able to be printed with. Set this off to the side here, and we can kind of take a look at the finished blanket there. So again, we got a nice, easy, big, personalized design. We can print on a blanket, we could print it on a tent, table cover. All those printables work the same. And then keep in mind, you know, your oversized graphic doesn't have to be that large where it's 28 inches. I could even just do simple personalization on the corner of a blanket or something like this. It's a little bit smaller. Of course, it's going to be larger. It's about 15 by 15, but I can still achieve that on my 16 by 20 press in 1-step application. So think about how you're creating your graphics. Can I do this in 2 steps, 1 step, or do I need to follow it up with 3 steps to get a nice durable application? But very fast, very easy to do. Taylor, have we had any questions come in throughout the morning show this morning on our go-to webinar? Okay, great. So I think next week we have some cool episodes on storage and organization. I know we could all stand to be a little more organized. And so we'll share some tips on ways to improve your production in that way. So we look forward to seeing you then.